Building in extreme environments ain't no easy feat, but some structures prove that nothing is impossible, from icy research stations in Antarctica to towering skyscrapers in scorching deserts. Today, the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, located at the southernmost point on Earth, is a hugely valuable scientific research station. It's located at an altitude of about 9,300 feet, or about 2,800 meters above sea level on the Antarctic Plateau. Temperatures here can drop below -100 degrees Fahrenheit or -73 degrees Celsius, and as the sun rises and sets only once each year, creating a 6-month day followed by a 6-month night. Named after Roald Amundsen, the first explorer to reach the South Pole in 1911, and Robert F. Scott, who arrived shortly after, the station was established in 1956. Since then, it's undergone several upgrades and reconstructions, with the current facility completed and flights are impossible due to the extreme cold and darkness. The station relies on aircraft like the LC-130 Hercules, which are specially designed to land on ice runways. And water, it's obtained by melting ice, and energy is generated using the combination of diesel fuel and renewable resources. Number 14. Qasr al-Farid, Saudi Arabia. Qasr al-Farid, or the Lonely Castle, is an archaeological monument in the ancient city of Hegra in Saudi Arabia. Dating back to the 1st century, Qasr al-Farid is part of the larger archaeological site of Hegra, which was the first UNESCO World Heritage Site in Saudi Arabia. This place is unique for its extreme isolation in the desert, but also for its monumental exterior, which displays the Nabateans' artistic and architectural talents. The facade is decorated with elaborate carvings, including pilasters, cornices, and decorative motifs that have been influenced by Greco-Roman and Mesopotamian styles. Strange, though, is its unfinished state. The facade is meticulously carved, aimed to educate the public about the region's rich history, while also ensuring its sustainable development. Number 13. Chacaltaya Laboratory in Bolivia. The Chacaltaya Lab, built at an altitude of over 17,000 feet or about 5,200 meters above sea level in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia, is a one-of-a-kind and historically important scientific research facility. Located near La Paz, it's one of the highest labs in the world, and as such it gives researchers a great platform to study cosmic rays, atmospheric phenomena, and the effects of extreme altitudes on both humans and the environment. First opened in the mid-20th century, the facility has contributed to research in physics, climate science, and biology. Its location at such a high altitude allows researchers to measure particles before they're absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere. During the 1940s and 50s, the laboratory played a leading role in pioneering cosmic ray research. It was here that physicists detected some of the earliest evidence of the muon, a fundamental particle to operate with very few complex systems, meaning that if there's a problem, it can be fixed by people who aren't necessarily thinking as clearly as they would at sea level. Number 12. Alert, Nunavut, Canada. Alert, Nunavut, is a truly unique settlement, as it's the northernmost permanently inhabited place in the world. It's located just 508 miles or 817 kilometers from the North Pole, and it's on the northeastern tip of Ellesmere Island in the Canadian Arctic. The history here dates back to the mid-20th century when it was built as a weather station, and it later became an important site for military and scientific activities. Named after HMS Alert, a British ship that wintered in the area during an Arctic expedition in the late 19th century, the station has since grown into a center for Arctic research. Alert is home to Canadian Forces Station Alert, which plays an important role in global communications and military operations. Established here in 1958 during the Cold War, CFS Alert was located there to intercept Soviet radio transmissions. Port staff calls Alert home. There is no permanent civilian population. Instead, those who live and work here do so on rotational assignments, typically lasting several months. It's completely detached from the rest of the world too, so supplies including fuel, food, and equipment must be flown in by military aircraft, as there's no roads or shipping routes to the settlement. Number 11. The Meteora Monasteries in Greece. The Meteora Monasteries in Greece are a fascinating mixture of natural wonder and human development. Located in the region of Thessaly, near the town of Kalambaka, it's one of the most surprising religious complexes in the world, where above a series of towering sandstone pillars, there are monasteries that appear to float between the earth and the sky. The name Meteora translates to suspended in the air, which is a great description of the structures that were built by hermit monks looking for solitude and spiritual enlightenment. These sandstone pillars are in some cases up to 1,300 feet or 24 monasteries, each of which required builders to haul materials up the sheer cliffs using basic methods, and often took decades to finish. Today, only 6 of them remain active, and are home to monks and nuns who follow centuries-old traditions of prayer and service. The frescoes here, in particular, are important, depicting scenes from the Bible, lives of saints, and the struggles of the early Christians. Number 10. Borneo Ice Camp in the Arctic Ocean. Borneo Ice Camp. It's a temporary seasonal camp in the high Arctic that drifts on the frozen waters of the Arctic Ocean near the North Pole. Built each year since 2002, this camp is one of the most unique and extreme human outposts in the world. The camp is set up each year on a large, stable ice floe about 89 degrees north, about 60 to 93 miles from the geographic North Pole. It's operated by the Russian Geographical Society and supported by polar aviation specialists. Borneo Ice Camp exists for only a few weeks each spring, typically from late March to mid-April. Research. Scientists from around the world use it as a platform to study the unique environment of the high Arctic. And it becomes a launch point for polar expeditions to the North Pole. Temperatures during the camp's operation often range from -13 to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, or about -25 to -40 degrees Celsius, with extreme wind chills. Camp accommodations include heated tents, equipped with sleeping areas and dining spaces, but perhaps the strangest thing about it is the way it has to be dismantled each year as the ice begins to melt, leaving no trace of human presence. As the Arctic continues to warm, the future of camps like this one is uncertain. With the sea ice being thinner and less stable each year, it is quite possible that in the coming years, there simply won't be any more that's capable of supporting the aircraft or the camp. Number 9. The Napo Wildlife Center in Ecuador. The Napo Wildlife Center is an eco-lodge and a conservation project that's located in the middle of Ecuador's Amazon rainforest. It's found on the banks on protecting the Yasuni National Park's extraordinary biodiversity. The region is home to over 600 species of birds, 170 species of mammals, and countless reptiles. You can, for example, take canoe rides to see caimans and giant otters, treks to spot monkeys and jaguars, and visit a parrot clay lick, where hundreds of colorful parrots and parakeets gather to eat the mineral-rich soil. The lodge's canopy tower is a standout attraction, and rising 118 feet or about 36 meters above the forest floor, it provides an amazing vantage point to look out across the rainforest treetops. Sunrise and sunset views here from the tower are really special, and it's times like these you'll realize just how isolated you are. There are no creature comforts here though, and virtually all supplies have to be carried in by canoe. There's also very little in terms of medical facilities, and with so many potentially dangerous animals and landscapes in the region, guests have to be extremely careful to take care of themselves. Number 8. Castle Stalker, Scotland. Castles offered both defensive advantages and a great view of the landscape. However, the castle's more interesting history began in the 15th century. Around 1446, Sir John Stewart of Lorne built the stone tower that still stands today, establishing a place as a stronghold in the volatile Highlands. The castle changed hands several times through warfare, including a brief period under the Campbells, another important Highland clan. One major event in history took place in the 17th century when Duncan Stewart, the castle's owner, lost it to the Campbells in a drunken wager. However, the Stuarts eventually regained control, showing the ongoing tension and flow of power between Scotland's clans. Its isolated location on the islet adds to its defensive capability, as it can only be accessed by boat or during low tide. It's also subject to the ferocity of Scotland's ever-changing weather, and meant that for long periods of time it was completely isolated. Today, though, the castle remains privately owned, and though it is occasionally open to the public for guided tours, it is actually within the hydropower station there, which is one of the tallest dams in the world. Now, cleverly, despite being protected by so much rock above it in the mountain, the lab's accessible horizontally, so equipment can be taken in by road. The laboratory opened in 2010 and has since become an important part of the search for dark matter, which is one of the most mysterious substances in the universe. Dark matter is believed to make up around 27% of the universe's mass, but it doesn't interact with light or ordinary matter in a way that makes it observable to us. One of the leading experiments is the China Jinping Underground experiment, which uses ultra-sensitive detectors to search for dark matter particles. Now, these detectors are cooled to cryogenic temperatures and surrounded by additional layers of shielding. The data collected here adds to global collaborations and comparisons with similar experiments at other facilities, such as the Gran Sasso Laboratory in Italy and the Sanford Underground Research Facility in the US. They also conduct geophysics and environmental studies here, taking advantage of the unique. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, often called the Doomsday Vault, is a facility that was built to safeguard the world's biodiversity. It's located on a remote archipelago of Svalbard in Norway near the town of Longyearbyen. Now, this vault is a global backup for the genetic diversity of crops, ensuring the preservation of seeds that are vital for food security. Opened in 2008, this seed vault is built into a sandstone mountain on the remote island of Spitsbergen, which is around 810 miles from the North Pole. The cold climate and low humidity here naturally help maintain the viability of the seeds. But this, of course, means it's an extreme natural environment. Its main purpose is to act as a fail-safe storage facility, providing an extra layer of protection for gene banks around the world. The entrance to the vault is a modern illuminated art installation that reflects the northern lights, and inside the facility extends about 400 feet into the mountain, and it's made up of 3 chambers, each capable of holding 1.5 million seed samples. Grades, including improved drainage and waterproofing to ensure the facility's resilience against climate change. Number 5. The Gobabeb Research and Training Center in Namibia. The Gobabeb Research and Training Center in the Namib Desert of Namibia is an internationally renowned institution. It was first set up in 1962. This center is located where 3 distinct environments merge: the sand dunes of the Namib Desert, gravel plains, and the Kuseb River. This setting makes it an ideal location for research and education on some of the most extreme and fascinating environments on the planet. It's in the Namib Nakluft National Park, which is one of the largest protected areas in Africa. Now, the Namib Desert itself is believed to be one of the oldest deserts in the world, and it's developed over millions of years by shifting sands, strong winds, and very little rainfall. Its dry conditions here have led to the development of some pretty amazing biodiversity, with many species found nowhere else on Earth, such as the Welwitschia plant, which can live for over 1,000 years, territory found in the Indian Ocean. Positioned near one of the world's most active volcanoes, the name translates to mean the peak of the furnace. This observatory plays a critical role in monitoring and studying volcanic activity. Now, the volcano on Reunion Island is 8,600 feet or 2,600 meters tall, and it's a shield volcano with a broad domed shape that's been formed by the low viscosity lava that flows freely. It has a relatively safe eruption style, producing lava flows rather than explosive activity, which does make it an ideal natural laboratory for scientists. The observatory was first established in 1908 in response to the need for monitoring the activity here. The facility is equipped with state-of-the-art technology to track and predict volcanic activity, and its work combines geophysics, geology, and chemistry to study the volcano's behavior. One of the most important tools used by the observatory is a network of seismometers that have been placed around the volcano. These instrument the island's residents. The benefits of the observatory are far more than just local ones, though, as scientists can learn far more about the dynamics of shield volcanoes in general and the process causing volcanic activity. This knowledge helps understand similar volcanic systems around the world, so this observatory collaborates with international research institutions to share what's learned. Number 3. Mount Washington Observatory in New Hampshire. The Mount Washington Observatory, at the summit of Mount Washington in the state of New Hampshire in the U.S., is a leading meteorological and research facility. Positioned at an elevation of 6,288 feet or 1,917 meters, it's at the top of the highest peak in the northeastern United States. This is a place that's well known for its extreme weather conditions and record-breaking wind speeds, so the observatory has become a center for study. On April 12, 1934, the observatory recorded wind speed of 231 miles or 372 kilometers. Storms and gale-force winds are common, and visibility can drop to near zero during storms. One of the observatory's most important roles, though, is in weather forecasting and public safety. The data collected here at Mount Washington helps understand mountain weather patterns and in predicting weather for the wider region. Weather on the mountain can change rapidly, and the observatory's forecasts help ensure the safety of those entering this environment. But beyond the scientific work, the observatory helps with education and outreach. It has a range of programs that are designed to engage the public and encourage a deeper appreciation for meteorology and environmental science. The observatory also has a program called EduTrips, allowing participants to stay overnight at the summit and experience its legendary weather firsthand. Number 2. Mponeng Gold Mine in South Africa. Mponeng Gold Mine, located near Carletonville, South Africa, is the deepest gold mine in the world. Owned by Harmony Gold, the mine extends more than 2.5 walls can reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius before cooling systems are applied. This cooling is essential not only for worker safety, but for the effective operation of all the machinery and equipment. To get down there, workers use high-speed elevators known as cages, which go down at speeds of up to 36 miles or 58 kilometers an hour. With the need to change elevators and their varying speeds, though, the descent to the bottom can take more than an hour. To extract the gold, they use a cutting-edge mining technique. Narrow reef mining, for example, is a method that was created for the thin, gold-bearing reefs in South Africa, and this increases efficiency while reducing waste. The high-grade ore here means that even small quantities of extracted material can produce significant amounts of gold. Real-time monitoring of geological conditions means that warnings can be sounded far earlier. The mine's extreme pressures and temperatures do make it a natural laboratory for studying geophysical events, such as seismic activity and rock mechanics. Not only do these studies help us learn from the foot of the world's tallest mountain, is a gateway for climbers hoping to reach the summit, and it's a destination in its own right for trekkers looking to venture deep into the Himalayas. Split into 2 sections, the South Base Camp in Nepal and the North Base Camp in Tibet. Each one offers unique experiences, landscapes, and challenges. The South Base Camp in Nepal is at an altitude of around 17,600 feet or about 5,300 meters, and it's more accessible and the popular of the two. Usually reached by the Everest Base Camp trek, the journey begins in Lukla, which is a small town that's most famous for its airport, which is said to be one of the most dangerous in the world because of its short, steep runway. When you reach the South Base Camp, you'll find a strange landscape full of ice, rock, and the towering Khumbu Icefall, where climbers prepare for their climb to the summit. Trekkers take in the atmosphere. The camp is extremely busy during climbing seasons, and typically from April to May and September to November. Teams of mountaineers and support staff work to make sure that climbers who take the northern route have to contend with increased technical challenges, including the treacherous second step, which is a rock face that requires skill and a huge amount of courage. But beyond its beauty, Everest Base Camps are hugely cultural and spiritually important places. The mountain, known as the Sagarmatha in Nepal and the Chomolunga in Tibet, is revered by the local Sherpa and Tibetan communities. For them, it's more than a peak, as it's a sacred space associated with deities and ancient legends. Trekkers and climbers have to acclimatize properly and monitor their health closely to avoid potentially dangerous conditions. Environmental issues too here are a growing concern, as there's still increasing number of visitors pushing the fragile ecosystem to its limit. Still, if you're able to visit in a respectful and conscious manner, it's one of the most spectacular places you could ever visit. Thanks for exploring with me, everybody. I'll see you next time.